Hi, and welcome back to the series on bootstrapping your business. In this series, we're talking about how to get your MLM business off the ground with no actual capital to start it. We've dealt with products, we've dealt with a compensation plan, we've dealt with how to raise some capital to get your business going, we've dealt with recognition. What I want to deal with in this segment is incentives. Within your network, I promise you there are going to be a bunch of people who are highly motivated by competition. They are the kind of people who will do nothing until you put them up against somebody else, and then they'll move heaven and earth to beat that person. They're just very competitive type of people. And about 20% of your network is going to have that competitive spirit. And that's why we have incentives. Now, an incentive is not part of your compensation plan. So the idea with an incentive is it takes place over a longer period of time, normally 3 months, and it's focused on an end goal where people can actually achieve valuable rewards for activities that you're trying to drive. It's normally not money. The thing that you don't want to do is confuse your compensation plan with your incentive. So it's normally not money. What you're trying to do is you're trying to provide the person with a form of recognition, but financial form of recognition for achieving certain goals. And again, what you want to do here is you want to try and use the incentives as a hit it and get it process. So what you can do is you can, for example, for newbies who are coming in, you could do product discounts or coupons. So a person starts out, and let's say you're selling a range of cosmetics, and you can say anybody who hits $1,000 in cosmetic sales this month, we are going to give them a value pack of $200 worth of product. Now the beauty of that is that generally you're buying, well, not really, you're always buying the product at cost. So the cost of giving that product to the member is quite low in relation to the value that they're perceiving that product to be. And the second thing is it gives them the ability to generate more cash out of the business. So that would be a typical example of an incentive. But as your business grows, you can make those incentives much more exciting. So for example, you could have an incentive to go on an international trip. And when you go on that international trip, you bring your partner along, and you can have this amazing incentive where you take people away and show them the magnitude of the business. Now again, I've got an entire video and a blog post and an ebook on how to set up incentives. And my recommendation is go and get hold of that stuff and consume it, and then go and have a talk to the companies that you're looking at to handle your IT systems and see how they deal with incentives. See what kind of incentives they've got. I've also interviewed a number of people who are in this industry and who understand incentives, and I would watch those videos as well if I were you. But the key thing is when you're bootstrapping a business is to have incentives that are a percentage of the sale of your product. So what we generally do with our systems is we say, put aside 5% of the sale of the product. That means if you do $1,000 of sales, you got $50 in cash that you can spend on an incentive. So now you can say, okay, if a person does $1,000, I can spend $50. If the company does $100,000, I got $500, $5,000. Yeah, $5,000 I can spend, and so on and so forth. And so you can take a percentage of your turnover and you can set your incentives to only go up to the percentage of the turnover that you've allocated. So for example, let's say you've got $100 in the kitty, and you've got an incentive price that costs you $10, then your software can work out that 10 people can get that. So you could have a competition where the top 10 people are each going to get $10 of whatever that prize is. So the idea is to never put yourself at risk. So never promise like an overseas trip and then just put the amount on. We're going to take 10 people overseas. Then you don't do the volume and you can't take the 10 people overseas and you tank your business. Rather say we're going to put 5% of our profit of our product sales aside, and then we're going to calculate how many people we can take on this incentive based on how much money is generated. The more sales, the more people you can incentivize. The more people you incentivize, the bigger the opportunity appears to everybody. You take one person on an international incentive, it doesn't look too good. You take 100 people, it looks amazing. Like one of our clients took 3,000 people. You take 3,000 people and book out the whole ship, and the whole ship is yours. That puts your entire business into a completely different space. So the recommendation I have here is create an incentive program, read the MLM for CEOs incentive stuff, get that up and running for yourself, make sure that you've got an incentive program and have it in play before you launch, before you sign up your very first person, because when you go after raising capital, you want to talk to them about the incentives you're going to put in place. The same with your recognition. Before you raise $1 of capital, you want to be able to talk to those people, those founding members, about the recognition you have in place. All of those things are integral for maintaining the network over a long extended period of time. And I'm going to make a statement here which you might not believe now, but I promise you, you will believe in future. Your biggest risk is what we call churn. The biggest risk we have in the MLM space is people leaving your business. They're going to leave it because it's too hard. They're going to leave it because they don't believe in the product. They're going to leave it because they're not making money in the compensation plan. They're going to leave it because you're not recognizing them. They're going to leave because you're not incentivizing them. So what you need to be doing here, especially when you're bootstrapping your business and you can't afford to lose a single person, you need to make sure your recognition, your incentives are of the highest possible quality and where you are on top of it all the time. Now, if you don't have systems that automate these processes, it would be a good time to get the person you've employed to do the recognition to, on a daily basis, to be feeding back to everybody who's in the network and telling them where everybody is in the incentive. Because the more everybody knows, the more they're aware of what's going on in the incentives, the more they're going to be engaged in the entire process and the less chance you have of losing them to churn. Okay, so that's it about incentives. I know that it was a quick one as well, just like the recognition one. I hope you're finding this information useful. If you are, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Spotify. We really appreciate having you check out this content, and I hope to give you a lot more of this content in the future. So I'll chat with you next. We're going to be dealing with the social element of our business.